COROS Epix 2, the second generation of the COROS Epix. Fun fact, the original COROS Epix was one of the first watches that I reviewed on this channel like 3 years ago. We've come a long way. All right, let's take a look. Welcome back, I'm Dave from Chase to Summit, and today we're going to be taking a close look at the brand new COROS Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro. The original COROS Epix is about 3 years old now, and over the course of 3 years, it really set COROS as a company down a path of producing solid sport watches with great build quality, lots of features at an affordable price point. However, 3 years later, the COROS Epix has started to feel a little bit outdated, and that's where the new and improved COROS Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro come in, with hopes to improve things like GPS and heart rate sensor accuracy, navigation and mapping features, additional wellness metrics, and even improved battery life on a watch that already had really good battery life. In this video today, I want to walk through the new hardware and design of the Epix 2 lineup. We'll also go through all of the new features and of course check out some of the test data that I've collected over the past 2 weeks of using these watches for my everyday life, along with my daily road and trail runs. Before we dive all the way into the good stuff, if you find this video helpful or entertaining or anything, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel down below so you don't miss more videos from me in the future. And if you plan on picking up a new COROS Epix or Epix Pro or any of the other watches that I show off in this video, check out the links in the description down below because they do help support my channel and they cost nothing extra to you, so you might as well use them. Okay, let's get back to the video. First thing is first, models and pricing. On the original COROS Epix, there were 2 different sizes of that watch available, and on top of that, there was also the Epix Pro, so effectively making 3 Epix models in the Epix lineup. This time around, COROS has consolidated the lineup a bit, and now there are only 2 models available. You've got the COROS Epix 2 and the Epix 2 Pro. The COROS Epix 2 comes in 3 different colors. There's the black model that I have here, there's also a gray version and a coral version, and the Epix 2 comes in at $399 here in the USA. The COROS Epix 2 Pro comes in 3 different colors as well. You've got the black model that I have here, we've got a gray version and a green version, and this watch is $100 more at $499 here in the USA, and this pricing is going to vary wherever you are in the world. And at first glance, when you look at these watches, you might be wondering why they're $100 different when they nearly look identical. Well, you'll learn all about that as we go through this video. Next up, let's talk size and weight. The COROS Epix 2 comes in at 43 millimeters in diameter, and it's also about 14.5 millimeters thick, and it weighs just 42 grams, which is pretty darn light for a watch with these capabilities. And the big brother Epix 2 Pro comes in at a 46 millimeter case size. It's about 15.8 millimeters thick, and it weighs about 54 grams. And this is what the COROS Epix 2 Pro looks like on my 165 millimeter circumference wrist, and this is what the smaller COROS Epix 2 looks like on my 165 millimeter circumference wrist. And for a size comparison with some other COROS watches that I have on hand, all the way on the left here, we've got the COROS Pace 2. This is going to be the smallest and lightest option from COROS, also the cheapest. Then we've got the new Epix 2, the old Epix, and you can see that it's very similar in size to the new Epix 2 Pro. Then we have the older Epix Pro that is very similar in size again to the Epix 2 Pro. And finally, the largest option, also the most expensive, is going to be the VERTIX 2 all the way on the right here. And for even more size comparisons of non-COROS watches, I've got a few more here. All the way on the left, we have the Apple Watch Ultra. Then we have the COROS Epix 2, the Garmin Forerunner 255, that's the larger version, and then we have the Garmin Forerunner 955, then the new Epix 2 Pro, along with the Garmin Enduro 2, which again is the largest, most expensive option here, coming in at 51 millimeters in diameter. Looking a little closer at the hardware and design of the COROS Epix 2 lineup, you can see again these two look nearly identical, especially in this colorway. Even on the side, the buttons and everything look very similar. So I'm just going to focus in on one of these watches so we can kind of look at the details. Around the left side of the bezel here, we do have a little COROS logo, but it's really subtle and I think it's well done. It's not too flashy or anything like that. And then on the right side, we do have 3 buttons. We have the light button up top here that illuminates the display. We've got the middle button here, which is also the digital crown. And below that, we have a dedicated back button. Flipping the watch over, you can see on the back that we have the same proprietary charging port. That's the 3-pin charger that all COROS watches use. And in the middle, we have an updated optical heart rate sensor and SpO2 sensor that we'll talk about later in this video. All of the colors and versions of the Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro come with with an included nylon band in the box, and I gotta say, it's a really nice nylon band. These bands do attach using an industry standard quick release system, so I can just pop the pin out with my thumb there and replace it with any third-party band that I can find on Amazon, or another COROS band that might be a silicone band if you don't like the nylon version. The nice thing about these COROS nylon bands is that they have a little stopper at the end of the band to prevent it from falling through the loop on the watch, and what that's good for is when you're taking the watch on and off and stick your arm through, the band doesn't fall out, so you don't have to like fish it back through to secure it. You simply put your wrist in, pull out the slack material, and then just kind of fasten it down using the little Velcro stuff on the back of the watch there. I think the colors and band options available are actually pretty cool. The one thing I don't love though is the branding they put on the back of the band that says Explore Perfection in big letters. It's a little bit too flashy for me. However, when you do secure this to your wrist and it overlaps on itself, you do hide some of that, so it might vary on how big your wrist is and how much you like the branding. In my opinion, I could have done without that. In terms of comfort, these included nylon bands are incredibly comfortable when they're dry. However, when they do become wet, they do absorb a little bit of water, and that means they do get a little clammy and uncomfortable over time, and they do take a little bit of time to dry out, much more time than a typical silicone band. Now let's talk about build quality and durability. Both the Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro are built out of premium quality materials. The bezel on these watches are both titanium, and the display has a sapphire crystal over the top of it for increased scratch resistance, which is really nice. These watches feel extremely high quality in the hand, especially compared to other devices in these price points. One interesting move in terms of durability is that COROS decided to reduce the water resistance rating of these two watches down to 5 atmospheres as compared to the older COROS Epix, which has 10 atmospheres of water resistance or 100 meters. However, even though they've reduced the water resistance on these watches, they've actually increased the operating temperature range down to -22 Fahrenheit or -30 C, all the way up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 C, which is incredibly cold and incredibly hot, so that's good to see. Just like the original COROS Epix, these new Epix 2 models have a whole bunch of sensors on board. There's a barometric altimeter, a compass, accelerometer, gyroscope, and thermometer. However, on these new models, there's an additional sensor to detect whether or not you're actually wearing the watch, and that's built into the optical heart rate sensor on the back of the watch. And on top of that, there's also an ECG sensor that can be accessed to take your HRV reading on a daily basis. And we'll talk more about the heart rate and ECG sensor a little later on in this video. In terms of the display on the Epix 2 and 2 Pro, the Epix 2 gets a 1.2-inch memory in pixel transflective display with 240 by 240 resolution. The Epix 2 Pro, however, gets a larger 1.3-inch display that again is memory in pixel and transflective, and it has a 260 by 260 resolution. However, for whatever reason, I've noticed that the Epix 2 Pro has a brighter, more crisp, more contrasty display as compared to the Epix 2. I don't know if that's just in my samples and what I have. That said, even comparing the Epix 2 to the Pace 2, you can see that the Epix 2 is brighter and it's more neutral in color and doesn't have that bluish hue to it. So it's still a higher quality display, but it's still not quite as bright or contrasty as the more expensive Epix 2 Pro. When it comes to the user experience on the COROS Epix 2 and 2 Pro, they have the same user interface and experience as all of the other COROS watches on the market. It allows you to scroll through all of your wellness and activity and sensor data from the home screen. So I'm not going to waste your time and go through every menu option and setting on these watches. If you want to learn more about the COROS platform as a whole, go check out some of my other COROS videos that I'll link up here. In this video, let's focus in on some of the new features. In terms of connectivity, the Epix 2 and 2 Pro now feature Wi-Fi connectivity. This will allow you to connect to your wireless network, and you'll be able to sync activities without being near your phone. You can also use this for firmware updates, and it does go a little bit quicker than using your phone for that purpose. On top of the addition of Wi-Fi, we also get Bluetooth 5.0 for pairing your wireless earbuds to the watch directly to play back music from the internal storage of the watch. So the Epix 2 features 8 gigabytes of internal storage for music, while the Epix 2 Pro features 32 gigabytes of internal storage for music. And sadly, there is no support for third-party services like Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music. Nothing like that. We're only dealing with MP3s. It's a step in the right direction, but I do wish that they would link up with Spotify or something like that, because because it makes things just a little bit easier. In terms of wellness features, like I said before, there is the addition of the ECG sensor on the Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro. You can access this by clicking on the HRV test function in the control menu here, and then it will tell you to sit still and hold on to the digital crown with one of your fingers in order to get an ECG measurement to get your HRV measurement. This HRV measurement is on demand, so it's not tracking it throughout the day like you get on a Garmin or on the Apple Watch. It's on demand, so you can kind of track your HRV level when you wake up, maybe after your workout, before you go to bed, to get an idea of your overall wellness. Now let's talk about the new optical heart rate sensor on the back of the COROS Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro. As you can see here, both of these watches do have the same exact optical heart rate sensor on the back of the watch. And what I find really interesting about this optical heart rate sensor is that it looks very, very similar to the optical heart rate sensor on the back of the Apple Watch Ultra and Apple Watch Series 8, as you can see here. Both of these sensors have sort of a glass-like domed appearance, and they both have a similar set of LEDs underneath the glass. And when it comes to accuracy of this new optical heart rate sensor, I've taken these two watches out on a bunch of different runs while also wearing the Garmin Forerunner 955 and an ECG-based chest strap for a baseline of comparison, because those are super accurate. Generally speaking, I do think this new optical heart rate sensor is a step up compared to the older COROS models like the Pace 2 and the original Epix. I've noticed that the trend line was pretty similar to a chest-based ECG sensor, and that's pretty good. That's all you can ask for. However, they are not perfect. In some situations, there were some blips here and there, some highs that weren't really there, some lows that dropped off. But for the most part, they look pretty good and pretty similar to the competition by today's standards. Now that we've talked about heart rate sensor accuracy, let's move right into GPS sensor accuracy, because the Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro have a whole new GPS chipset that enables a whole bunch of different modes and accuracy. The GPS chip in the Epix 2 is very similar to the GPS chip in the VERTIX 2, which is a $700 watch. However, there is a difference between these two watches when it comes to GPS modes and accuracy. On the Epix 2 Pro, you get GPS only mode, all systems mode, and all systems plus multi-frequency mode. On the COROS Epix 2, you get the same GPS only mode and all systems mode, but you do not get multi-band frequency mode. That's something exclusive to the Epix 2 Pro and the COROS VERTIX 2 as well. So what does this mean for you? Well, multi-band or multi-frequency mode is kind of the gold standard, and it will give you the best accuracy at the sacrifice of more battery life. This means that the watch can actually see more satellites at a given time, which gives you better accuracy. However, multi-frequency mode is really only useful in big cities with skyscrapers or bridges and things like that, obstacles that make it harder to get a GPS fix, or when you're next to a cliff face or in a slot canyon. And I gotta say, for the most part, these new Epix 2 models have really good GPS accuracy. They're giving me really solid tracks after my runs, and it doesn't really matter if you're in all systems or dual frequency mode. It's all kind of the same in terms of accuracy. They're both really good. For the most part though, I'm getting very similar results from the COROS Epix 2, the Epix 2 Pro, my Garmin Forerunner 955, the Enduro 2, the Apple Watch Ultra. These all have multi-band or all systems mode, and they're all giving me pretty similar results, and they're all using the same kind of technology, so that's not surprising. It also helps that at the end of most of my runs, I'm getting pretty similar overall distance from various watches, including the Epix 2 and 2 Pro, and that's good to see as well. Now let's talk battery life between these two watches, because they're pretty darn impressive. But like I said, in order to use some of those more accurate GPS modes, you do make some sacrifices. So on the COROS Epix 2, in full GPS mode with GPS only, you're looking at up to 45 hours of use, which is pretty good. If you do want more accuracy and go into that all systems mode, you'll get 28 hours of use. And as a daily smartwatch and everyday fitness tracker, you'll get up to 17 days of use. And on the more expensive Epix 2 Pro, you can get up to 75 hours in a GPS activity using GPS only mode. And for more accuracy, you can get up to 45 hours in all systems mode. And for the most accuracy, you'll get up to 25 hours in dual frequency mode, which is really impressive. And to top that all off, you'll get up to 30 days of use in smartwatch mode as a daily fitness tracker. When it comes to battery life in these form factors at these price points, these are class leading, and those are really good numbers. The new Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro are also compatible with external sensors, and they also support the new COROS Pod 2, which came out about a week ago, and you can check out my video about that up here if you're interested. Another big update on the COROS Epix 2 and Epix 2 Pro is the addition of global, offline, landscape, and topo maps on both of these models. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of detail on these maps, and the cool thing about these is that you can use the digital crown to scroll in and out on the map, and then you can use the touchscreen on the watch to actually pan and zoom around the map, which is really functional and really easy to use. On top of the offline mapping, there's also breadcrumb navigation where you can import a GPX file and follow that in real time while you're out on the trail. There's also waypoint support, so you can mark your campsite and find your way back to it when you go on your hike. Really, the only downside of the mapping on these COROS watches is that it's only a base map, and the base map does not have labels for streets or trails or waterways or anything like that. All you see is the actual street or trail. It doesn't have a label of what it is. The maps on these COROS watches are also not routable. What that means is that you can't actually put in a destination and have the watch generate a course for you to follow. There's simply kind of an image that lays underneath your breadcrumb mapping. That being said, even with some of the mapping limitations on these COROS watches, it's still a really useful tool to have the base map there, and I'm glad to see it on these watches as well. Okay, now that we're nearing the end of this video, it's time for final thoughts and conclusions. I really like these new watches from COROS, and I think they provide a welcome update to an already popular watch. The addition of the new heart rate sensor, the multi-band GPS in all systems mode, and the offline mapping at this price point is hard to find. And if you're wondering which one is right for you, whether it be the Epix 2 or the 2 Pro, well, let's summarize here. First of all, the Epix 2 Pro gets all systems dual frequency GNSS mode, where the Epix 2 does not. It's also got a larger screen, and it's got a unique activity for multi-pitch rock climbing. If you're a multi-pitch rock climber, that might matter to you. You also get significantly more battery life on the Epix 2 Pro compared to the Epix 2, and you get more internal storage of up to 32 gigabytes compared to the 8 gigabytes on the Epix 2. Those are all the things you get for $100 more on the Epix 2 Pro. Is that worth it? Well, that's up to you to decide. Another comparison in terms of value I want to quickly make here is between the COROS Epix 2 Pro and the COROS VERTIX 2 that came out a while ago. This watch is $700 as compared to this watch that's $200 cheaper, coming in at $500 here in the USA. And if you compare these watches on paper, they are very similar. They have basically all of the same features with HRV tracking, dual frequency GPS, really good battery life. There's a lot in common here. However, the COROS VERTIX 2 does have basically double the battery life of the Epix 2 Pro, which is kind of crazy, at up to 140 hours in GPS mode and 2 months in normal use. But really, at the end of the day, is the VERTIX 2 worth $200 more than the Epix 2 Pro? For me, I don't think so. I think the Epix 2 Pro is a much better value. And while we're comparing things, why don't we compare a couple of other watches? The COROS Epix 2 compared to the Garmin Forerunner 255. These two watches are the exact same price. They're $399 for both models if you get the music model on the Garmin Forerunner 255. Speaking of music, the Garmin Forerunner 255 is compatible with Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and a few other services. I also think the 255 is more useful when it comes to wellness and fitness tracking and body battery and stress tracking and all that other stuff. And shockingly, the Forerunner 255 also has multi-frequency GPS mode, while the Epix 2 does not. That's only in the more expensive Epix 2 Pro. On the other hand, the Epix 2 has far better build quality with an actual metal case instead of all plastic construction. It's got an ECG sensor for HRV tracking, way longer battery life, along with global offline mapping, while the Forerunner 255 only has a breadcrumb map system. And I can't end this video without making this comparison, the COROS Epix 2 Pro versus the Garmin Forerunner 955, because these two watches are the same price. They're $499 USD, and the same argument could be made about these watches compared to the 255 and Epix 2. The same argument applies here. The Garmin has better wellness and fitness tracking tools and smartwatch features and things like that, where the COROS Epix 2 Pro has way better build quality with a sapphire lens and titanium bezel, and the 955 is just completely made out of plastic. However, in this case, the Forerunner 955 has much better mapping and navigation with routable offline maps with map labels and points of interest support, and you can actually create a course on the fly just by telling it a direction and how far you want to run. It does way more when it comes to navigation compared to the Epix 2 Pro. But on the flip side, the Epix 2 Pro has significantly longer battery life at up to 75 hours in a GPS activity, where you're only getting about 40 hours from the Forerunner 955. Do you need that many hours in a GPS activity? Maybe. At the end of the day, I think these new COROS watches are worth taking a look at if you're not heavily invested in another ecosystem like Garmin or Polar or Suunto, and you're in the market for a solid, reliable sport watch that provides a ton of training and wellness tools and at a fairly affordable price point. But that's merely just my opinion, and I am just some guy on YouTube, so take that for what it's worth. Now I want to hear from you. Are you going to pick up the Epix or the Epix 2 Pro? Are you going to go for a Garmin model? Let me know in the comments down below which one's right for you and why you went for it. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, friends, we have reached the end of this video, and if you made it this far, you probably liked it. And if you did, please consider going down and giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel down below, because that really helps me out. And if you're planning on picking up the Epix 2 or 2 Pro or anything that I've shown in this video, check out the links in the description down below, because they do help support this channel and they cost nothing extra to you. And with that, I will see you next time. Bye.